Okay, let's get something out of the way right away. I am a total Star Wars geek, nerd, fanboy, whatever you want to call it. Star Wars has kind of been my number one thing, even though I also love, Transformers and He-Man and G.I. Joe and all of that. I had this poster on my wall when I was 13, and I still proclaim that the original trilogy pretty much taught me everything I need to know in life. And because of that, well, like other Star Wars fans out there, I'm going to spend countless hours nitpicking the original trilogy for every tiny little detail I can find. I mean, it's our, fan given right to do this because, as fans, we're allowed to question the makers of our content indefinitely and ask them what every little detail meant in the movie, comic, TV show, radio drama, whatever it is. Oh, the radio drama. That's an awesome thing from Star Wars no one talks about. More on that later. Well, even though George Lucas may not have intended for all of the details to be nitpicked, as card-carrying members of the official Star Wars fan club and the original Bantha Tracks newsletter, it's our right to do this, and we should be doing this. And in fact, I would say 90% of the internet is probably made up of Star Wars fans nitpicking it. Okay, well, that's not true. 90% of the internet is something I'm not allowed to talk about on YouTube because this is a children-approved medium. But the point is, we question Star Wars all the time because, well, it's Star Wars and we should. But in my years of being a Star Wars fan, there's a few things I've noticed that have never really been questioned, or if they've been questioned, I haven't found them discussed online. And as we all know, if it's not discussed online, it isn't discussed at all. So, without further ado, here are some things that I find odd about the original trilogy that have never really been discussed in depth. Animals. Yes, we all love animals. My daughter loves koalas, even though, they're kind of odd looking and they munch on the same plant all day and don't have a variety. Well, Star Wars has animals too. Everything from the gigantic krayt dragon, first imagined by Ralph McQuarrie and then later seen in The Mandalorian in its full and amazing glory, which didn't quite look like Ralph's version, but what does it matter? As well as other animals like nerf herders. Well, not nerf herders, the actual nerfs. These are the nerf herders. Well, okay, those aren't actually nerf herders, but the point is, nerf herders or nerfs are things that are mentioned on screen in the original trilogy. There are several animal species, well, even with the prequels and the sequel trilogy, where they actually name the species of animals. And by the way, this is actually what a nerf looks like, and a nerf herder, not the band shown earlier. Other animals, like gundarks, which apparently live in nests or create nests, sure, why not, are also name-checked on screen, in this case in Episode 2, when Anakin and Obi-Wan are in the elevator. Point being is animals exist in the Star Wars universe. My absolute favorite is and always will be the Tauntaun. What it is about the Tauntaun that I love so much, maybe it's because I had the toy as a kid where you could split the belly open and put your action figures inside, because that was just so cool. And the fact that you can't do that today, well, I mean, I know they have Tauntaun figures today, but they just don't have the action features that they had in the 80s. Maybe it was gross, but it was awesome. All right, I'm totally getting off topic. So, the Millennium Falcon, right? That you're saying, wait a minute, that's not an animal. Last time I checked, that was a ship. Well, I don't have a problem with it being a ship, and I don't have a problem with it flying through hyperspace. It's the name that kind of bothers me. I mean, if it's called the Millennium Falcon, the first part, millennium, just means a period of time, and that's fine. I mean, Star Wars has periods of time, and they use the English language, which is, assumed what they speak. But the second part of the name of it, the Falcon, that's the part of the name that is slightly confusing, because unless I'm mistaken, there are absolutely no Earth-based animals living in the Star Wars universe. So this is a Falcon. And if there's no Falcons in the Star Wars universe, how could you name a ship the Millennium Falcon? Shouldn't it better be named the Millennium Nerf or the Millennium Gundark or something like that? Well, that's a question for George Lucas and for people to do at fan panels. Until we see the bones of a dead giant falcon in the background of a scene, It's odd that you would name the major ship after an Earth animal. All right, continuing my nitpicking. How about in Empire Strikes Back when everyone gets ready to take down the AT-ATs in the Battle of Hoth, Luke yells out to Rogue Squadron that they should use a specific type of attack called Attack Pattern Delta. I always name my attacks patterns because, it's more artistic that way. Well, Attack Pattern Delta has become even, beyond its original use and part of Star Wars lore, appearing on decipher cards and in different media. It's known as the way that you take down an AT-AT. I remember in the Star Wars arcade game, the stand-up arcade game that you would actually go to arcades to play, when Luke would yell out Attack Pattern Delta, a delta sign would appear over the AT-AT leg, and if you hit fire at that moment, you could automatically take one down. I always thought that was pretty cool. Even though it wasn't really what he was doing, this is apparently what he was doing. They've actually worked this out, they being the Star Wars fans, but hey, that's awesome. Although this pattern looks nothing like an actual delta. And that, my friends, is the question. Now, a delta is a waterway, and I suppose it could be thought of as that, but if you've been following my channel, you know I'm also a major nerd when it comes to writing and ancient writings and the evolution of writings. If you aren't watching Doodling with Purpose, you haven't been doodling with purpose. That's a series I do on Sunday mornings. So delta, besides being a waterway, is more commonly part of the Greek alphabet. It is the, alpha, beta, delta, gamma, third letter there. All right, so yes, delta is a part of the Greek alphabet, and last time I checked, the Greek alphabet was not part of Star Wars. So if the Greek alphabet is part of Star Wars, does that mean all of Greek mythology is part of Star Wars? Are we going to see Zeus running around with a lightsaber and a stormtrooper helmet sometime soon? Or how about a Star Wars Euro? I would love me one of those. So yeah, I don't think Greek culture and Greek language is part of Star Wars, but apparently for attack patterns, it is. Things that make you go, Star Wars vehicles. I do love Star Wars vehicles. I've made a video recently on my love for the specific Galoob Micro Machine line, which is awesome. But there are some things that I question about Star Wars vehicles, and a lot of times it's how they are named. I mean, for example, the loved TIE Fighter, the vehicle of the Empire. Yes, I know in the continuity it's twin ion engine, hence TIE, T-I-E. But for those of you who know your Star Wars behind-the-scenes lore, the TIE Fighters were named by the crew of the first movie, A New Hope, because they actually looked like bow ties. And that's why they were called TIE Fighters. The whole twin ion engine was just an in-continuity thing that came later on. So if they're named after bow ties, do people wear bow ties? Well, more so, let's look at the Rebel vehicles. The Rebel vehicles have several spaceships. They have, of course, the X-Wing, which is kind of the iconic ship of Star Wars since Luke flies around in it. And then there's the Y-Wing, because it looks like a Y. And then there's the A-Wing, because, it looks like an A if you propped it up on its engines. And, of course, the B-Wing, which, while it was so much fun to play in the X-Wing computer game because it kicked so much butt, how in the world does it look like a B? Oh, you have to flip it upside down. Okay, I guess I see that, B, because it could be a P-Wing, but it's a B-Wing. That's not the point I'm making, though. The point is that with all of these Rebel ships named after English letters, well, actually English comes from Phoenician. The Phoenician alphabet therefore created the Greek alphabet, which then created the Latin alphabet. And all languages are connected if you want to go back and even go back all the way to hieroglyphics, which is what I teach on Doodling with Purpose. There's pimp number 2 for this series. But the point is that the Latin alphabet, which evolved from the Phoenician alphabet, is what's used to name all of the Star Wars Rebel spaceships. The Y-Wing, the X-Wing, the A-Wing, the B-Wing, and I think they have something called the Q-Wing, but we just never actually got to see it because it's not aerodynamic and can't get off the ground because of its circular shape. The point being is that Star Wars has its own language. It's called Arabish. And it has its own letters. They're named. They have their own, way that they write them. They even have numbers. You'll see this language scattered throughout the films, mostly in Return of the Jedi, although it's obviously used in the new stuff like Mandalorian all the time, because it didn't exist when they shot A New Hope. The tractor beam on the Death Star said tractor beam until they changed it into Arabesh for the special edition. You can even go online and find ways to translate Arabesh and English into each other. It's that big. So if Arabesh is the language of the Star Wars universe, why are all the ships named after Latin or Phoenician or English letters? That makes no sense. All right, the last one, and this is kind of a biggie. So let's talk about heck, or hell. Robot hell? Well, I don't want to offend anyone. But, hell is a place, especially in major religion, and whether it's depicted in Renaissance artwork or Futurama cartoons, it is something that has existed for thousands of years in human culture. First really explored as a place in Dante's Inferno, it is made up of several rings, each getting deeper and deeper, where people who sin in life are punished in the afterlife by the aforementioned Satan or the devil. Well, if it's part of human culture and human religion, why in the world are Star Wars characters referencing this place? I mean, this is clearly part of a religion from Earth, yet Uncle Owen is referencing it.
Freeze before you reach the first marker. Then I'll see you in hell.
As is Han Solo. So, if hell exists in the Star Wars universe, does that mean Jesus exists in the Star Wars universe? I mean, I know by Christian doctrine Jesus exists everywhere, and if hell is referenced, then obviously there must be a lightsaber-wielding Jesus in the Star Wars universe as well. Gosh, I hope I'm not offending anyone. I'm not trying to. I'm just pointing out that they reference hell quite often in Star Wars. Okay, twice. But the point is, they mention it twice, and that's really odd. So, what other things have you noticed in Star Wars that hasn't been talked about online yet? I mean, I know the internet discusses everything, and we could probably get even nerdier from talking about Star Wars to really deep diving into sci-fi, but we're not going to do that in this video. Those were the things that I've noticed. What about you? Anything else that the internet has not dug up that you find odd about Star Wars? Leave them in the comments below. And of course, subscribe and like this video because that tells YouTube to share it with other people. And that's what the fun of this is all about, sharing fun videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.